Hello, beautiful ones. This is Lorelei from the Tightrope to 5D Music Reactions. And you might say, what a strange name. And if you don't know what that's about, stick around to the end. I've got a special message about this shift that's happening right now from third dimensional consciousness to fifth dimensional consciousness, something that's never before happened. So stick around. But first, we're going to start with a reaction to Angelina Jordan, Fly Me to the Moon. And she looks pretty young here. So let's see what she has for us today. Oh, this looks to be one of the talk shows that she performed on when a few years back. So here we go.
Well, hi, everybody. This is 8-year-old Angelina Jordan, and she's from Norway. Hi.
Hi.
What do you like to do for fun?
Singing.
Singing. No kidding. So you're over in Norway, and you're singing around the house, and then you hear, hey, there's a show on TV where you can go and sing, right? What's it called?
The View.
Oh, yes, that's this one. Yes, you can sing on this one, you're right. But at home, it was called Norway's Got Talent. Yeah. Had you watched it before you were on it, honey?
Yes.
And did you think when you saw it, hey, maybe I could be on that show?
Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been singing? Since you were how old?
I was very young when I was 1.5.
1.5, you started singing. Do you remember your...
She started singing at 1.5. And she knows she started singing at 1.5. I probably sang at 1.5 because I love to sing, but I didn't know that I sang at 1.5. Oh my goodness, crazy.
First song by any chance, what it was?
I started with jazz.
Oh, jazz, sure. Yeah, my baby's doing that too. Studying all the classics, Ella, everyone. So did you do well on Norway's Got Talent?
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened on that show?
I did win the Norway Got Talent.
You won?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
won.
Was that fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here in America, we really enjoy 8-year-old girls who could sing like you. So we were hoping that you would sing for us. Will you?
Yes.
What are you going to sing?
I'm going to sing.
You know what else was amazing is that she knows English pretty darn well. I mean, she's faltering a little there, but she grew up in Norway, and look how well she knows English. We are really behind the 8 ball in this country, right? We need to know more than one language here. Most of us. Here we go.
Fly Me to the Moon.
Okay. Here she is for all of you. Please welcome Angelina Jordan.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you.
Listen to her impeccable timing. She's just like, her timing is just perfect. And she's 8 years old. Let's hear that again.
In other words, darling, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars.
That's just adult, like, oh, it's like who would know to do that as a child? Oh my God. We got to go back and hear that again. Stars. Here we go. And she has that kind of jowly sound, that those jazz singers get. I would have assumed after many years doing it, like they cultivate that. But here she is, 8 years old.
And are the words I love you. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. And are the words on my hand. And are the words, darling, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. And all the words, please be true. And all the words, I love you.
What did you do? Here, got you a little something. That's for you.
She just rocked that, didn't she? Oh my goodness. Look how precious she is. Isn't she precious? Oh my goodness. Who could believe that a child could sing like that, huh? These children we got coming in, I'm telling you, this in itself is telling you that fifth dimension is rolling in because they're coming in already with amazing skills and talents. That's how they're coming in. So my goodness, Oh, wow. So my goodness. Okay. Well, let's see. We have to scale this now on my scale. This is my 1 to 10 scale. 1 being very third dimensional, fear, pain, sadness, anger, scarcity, lack, etc. And suppression, and 10 being self-expressed in love, joy, peace, harmony, free and freedom. So this is quite high. I mean, the song and the way she sang it, it's about love and it's feeling good. It feels good on the cells of your body. You feel like, wow, you're flying around to the moon with this one. This is a very high vibrational song. You can listen to something like this all the time and be raising your vibration and going up. So I would go with, goodness gracious. The only thing that's not fully a full on 10 is that it's about human love, which is fine. That's great. But we want to kind of get our love also from the divine, because human love can tend to fail us. And we say, well, where is this one going to be when he gets what he wants 10 years down the line? He's sick of it, right? So we want to get our love from the divine as our primary source, and everybody else is gravy, right? But still, love in any form is very high vibration. So I'm going for a 9 on this one. This one is great. And she's just too beautiful doing it too. And of course, that is not about how well she did the song. If I had to go with how well she did on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd have to go probably 15, right? Because she did it that well. So she's amazing. By the way, don't forget to like me, like hers, and let me know. Do you see what I'm talking about? Are you starting to see the difference between how high or low a vibrational song is? I'd like you to comment on that, and let me know if you're feeling like, okay, I know what a low vibration song feels like. I know what a high vibration song feels like. Or if I'm just talking crazy gobbledygook, let me know that. Oh my goodness. And by the way, if you'd like to know a little bit about me, just go to the About Me video on this site, and it'll lead you to a longer video if you want to know still more about my forged in the fire journey on this third dimensional planet. You can go to that. Or if you want to know about some of the things I've created that might assist you, help you raise up to a higher vibration, you can go to the description on YouTube and then drop down to About Lorelei on Patreon. So that's a bit about that. Whoops. And now we're going to get to my fifth dimensional message. I hope you stick around, because this shift from third dimensional consciousness to fifth dimensional consciousness for the entire planet has never before been done. That it's all known history, has not been done, at least in this galaxy, probably in this universe. I think it's the whole universe. So this is kind of an historic thing. And we're talking, first of all, my fifth dimensional message is how is the story of Charles Manson related to the shift to 5D? And we're talking, of course, about, like I said before, third dimensional being fear, pain, sadness, anger, and loneliness, and all those lower vibrational feelings. And then fifth dimension being love, joy, bliss, freedom, harmony, all that, the higher dimensional feelings. So let me first recap to some of you who may be a little bit young to understand the story of Charles Manson. So for those of you who don't know what the story was, it was Charles Manson was a person that in the 1960s was kind of seen by a bunch of people as a sort of guru, a sort of a hippie kind of guy. He was like an LSD kind of guy, and a lot of people, we believe, thought that he was kind of like the second coming of Christ. So he had these followers and everything else. And at one point in the 1960s, he ordered his followers to go out and kill people. And they literally committed these horrific murders of these 7 people. And they did that under his influence, these folks. Whether it was drugs, whether it was mind control, or whatever the case may have been, they committed these murders. And it was found that he was the one who had induced them somehow, some way to kill these people. And one of the people that they killed was a woman who was pregnant with a baby, which was particularly horrific. So I don't know the full details of who the people were that he was having them kill. So if any of you know of that, go ahead and put that in the details. But there was some way that he was mind controlling or drug controlling or kind of hypnotizing them through thinking that he was, some guru kind of guy that was having them go and do this. So the interesting thing was that after this happened with Charles Manson, people began to be a little bit soured on the hippie movement, because this guy was supposed to be, this hippie guy, this like love-in guy, like he had followers, and they seemed, the hippie times. I don't know if you guys know about that, but let me go back and recap about that. It was all peace signs. It was people talking about love and about everybody living in harmony. And they were called flower children because, well, first of all, they went to the airport and they gave out flowers to random strangers, right? In those days, you could go to the airport and you didn't have to, get a body search, or take off your shoes. You could just go and stand around and give out flowers. And that's what they used to do. And also they used to wear all these kind of flowery and kind of psychedelic, bright colored clothing. And they would talk about the age of Aquarius and sing songs about peace, like where have all the flowers gone? I mean, that was why they were flower children, and people kind of thought, oh, that's kind of cute. I don't maybe want my children involved in it, because they were doing a lot of drugs too, by the way. And some of the drugs, maybe were somewhat harmless and others were not, for sure. Some of the drugs may have even opened the mind a bit, like those psychedelic drugs. People say that they had like really huge epiphanies of understanding through those. Now, I'm not a fan of doing drugs for an epiphany. I'm a fan of like going to the higher vibrations and, connecting with the divine beings, and I get my epiphanies and my psychedelic experiences that way. I don't need a drug. But in some ways that was, for some people a good thing, I guess, that they kind of had those epiphanies, but others were doing drugs that weren't so very good and that could harm you in a lot of different ways. So a lot of people kind of looked upon that hippie movement, well, with a kind of okay, all right, let them do their thing, but I don't necessarily want my children involved, but go ahead and do your thing, as long as you're not harming anybody kind of thing, right? Now, many of us believe that 60s kind of era, that hippie movement, was the beginning of this shift in consciousness. But with this Charles Manson story, put the kibosh on that. It was like a stamp. Boom. Down that came. And 20 years later, 30 years, whatever, we were in the days of Reagan and conservatism and all of that. Not that that stuff's bad, by the way. It's all got its place, right? But we had fully flipped from this love, peace, joy, bliss to this money, 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 back to our basics, kind of thing. And Charles Manson's story was a big part of that, because when people saw what they thought was the culmination of that lifestyle is that you go out and you murder people. You literally go out and murder people. And then there was another fellow who did a similar thing, and I don't remember his name. Put it in the comments, friends, where a lot of people took a poison and died, and he was a hippie-like guy. So people did not look well then upon that whole love, peace, hippie thing, because it looked like it was leading a bad way in a bad direction. Little did we know that Charles Manson, and very possibly this other gentleman, some of you can let me know what you know about that, but definitely Charles Manson was a CIA operative. And allegedly. Now, you can go check out Candace Owens, and she has a whole video of like an hour-long show on Charles Manson's story, and she does her research. So I kind of knew this before her, and I had done my research, and then seeing her, it was even more. So I'm fully sure that this is true, and quite possibly he himself was a victim of mind control. Probably the monarch mind control that the CIA was doing, and taking young people and children and getting them to either be their agents and do things that were illegal, like take drugs across a border somewhere, or else they were giving women out to be, sex partners for people in government at will, whenever they wanted to, like, give them a little favor or something, or they were having them commit crimes. Now, our CIA is not, as we know, and we find out ever more, the very nicest thing on the planet. In fact, I don't even need a CIA. I don't think we need a CIA anymore in this world. But that's a whole nother story. They've done really, really horrible, horrible things, actually. And the Monarch program is one of them, where one particular woman, and I'll suggest that you go and look her up, because she's got her videos all over. Kathy O'Brien was taken into their program, MK Ultra. MK Ultra was the name of it, and also called the Monarch, I think, program. Okay, and she was taken into it as a child, and developed in this way, where she was one of those ones they passed around to a bunch of senators or congressmen or whatever. And she tells her story about this. And she did other things in a mind-controlled state, not knowing what she was doing. So let's just understand, they do this and they torture them, and they have them go into sort of like alter ego states. They literally give these individuals split personalities, and they know how to, like, cause that person to go into that split personality to do that particular thing. It's really sick and really horrific and unbelievable. And so as far as I'm concerned, that government agency should not even exist anymore. I'm not even kidding you. But go check out Kathy O'Brien's story. So here we had this person who was one of those mind controlled victims, allegedly, and was a CIA operative, allegedly, going out and having other individuals doing these horrific things. Now, quite possibly, those other individuals might not even have been his followers. They may have been other operatives, mind-controlled, that are being told not just by him, but have been controlled in this way by that organization and sent out to do. So he's like a middleman kind of thing for those guys who... they were taking men, they were taking women, they were taking the whole gamut. So why? And how does that relate to this fifth dimensional shift? Because, my friends, the ones in power, the ones super filthy rich, so to speak, elite, who are in power, they have known for a long time that this shift in consciousness is coming. And they have known that they're going to lose all control of this planet. They're going to lose their money. They're going to lose their power. they're not going to make it as the dirty deep state people that they are on this planet once that consciousness shift happens. So they have been frantically trying to stop this shift from coming. And many of those individuals of power were in that CIA world. Okay, let's just say allegedly, definitely some presidents with the last name Bush. The first one for a surety, the second one probably following his father. Absolutely. In fact, that particular president was the one who created, while he was the director of the CIA, the MK ULTRA program. So they have been working very, very hard to make sure that we don't raise up to that higher place. So when this was coming in, this peace, this love, this was looking an awful lot like we were going to start to move to that heaven on earth, to that higher place. And they were going to lose us completely and lose all their power. And so this was one of the many, 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 many ways that particular, let's call it a mafia, a governmental institutional mafia of darkness and dirtiness. This was one of the many ways they were trying to stop our ascension. So, it's been an uphill battle all the way, has it not? I remember, hearing that story about Charles Manson, and I probably heard it. I was born in the mid-'60s, and I was hearing it, probably when I was cognizant of it, probably 10, 11 years old and all the way on through. What a horrible story it was. What a horrible thing was that hippie movement and the whole 9 yards. So they did a pretty good job, actually, of slowing down, not stopping, but slowing down the process. And they've always sort of known it was coming, and they've kind of laughed at us because we've had all the signs, and I've told you a lot of the different ways, different ways that people have been telling us through in our history books and our historical books, our religious texts, and all of that, telling us this is coming, and we've been not believing it and ignoring it, and they've been laughing all the way. Like they're like, yeah, you big dumb idiots, yeah, we know it's coming, but you're too stupid to know it. So let's just take advantage of that, and that's what they have done all along. So here we go. So now, like we're coming back to that whole peace, love, bliss, joy thing, but in a more centered way, right? We're more solid. We're more centered. I'm going to talk about that in one of my next videos. How you really can see that we are all on that path. We're not going to be like the sort of flighty little flower people, right? We like to give out people flowers, but but we're going to be centered. We're going to be solid. We're going to have our feet on the ground about this movement as we raise up. And someday maybe we can give out those flowers at the airport again. I'd like to bring you a song right now, which is a song that was typical of that 1960s world. And was really always, their songs were very touching and very meaningful and very poignant in pushing us in a direction. So here we go. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Gone to young girls, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the young girls gone? Long time passing. Where have all the young girls gone? Long time ago. Where have all the young girls gone? Gone to young men, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all men gone? Long time passing. Where have all the young men gone? Long time ago. Where have all the young men gone? Gone to war, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the soldiers gone? Gone to graveyards, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time passing. Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time ago. Where have all the graveyards gone? Gone to flowers, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? All right, beautiful ones, I'm sending you that wonderful fifth dimensional energy, the love, the peace, the bliss, the joy, the harmony. Sending it all to you right now. Namaste. I honor the God in you.